I'm Suzanne Sandbo, and we're here at Bethany College to talk to Karin Freeburg. This is May 26, 1981. Karin, would you tell us when and where you were born?
I have to say when, too.
When?
I was born in 1905 in Halmstad, Sweden.
In Sweden.
I'm a naturalized citizen.
And how was it that you were born in Sweden?
Well, Papa came over in 1900. And then Mama followed him in 1901. They were married, and they'd had one child over here, my oldest sister. And when I was about to arrive, I think Mama was terribly homesick. She never liked it here, and it wasn't especially beautiful on the prairies at that time. And help was hard to get. They had a lot of tornadoes and floods, and so she decided to go home. And she went back to Sweden in May, and I was born in July the 30th. And then Papa came over the following year to, I think, convince Mama to come back over here, and brought us back in 1906.
And what year were you born?
About 1905.
So you're 76.
I will be.
You will be.
Give me a couple of more months to be 75.
Okay. The name Karin, would you tell us about that?
Well, it's just a typically Swedish name, spelled the Swedish way and pronounced the Swedish way. I answer to Karin, Korn, about anything, but my name is Karin.
Spelled?
Karin.
Okay. Do you have some early memories as a child that stand out in your mind?
Oh, yes, naturally. This seems when I think back of the early days here, and I'm getting to where I can say early days. Now, I can remember when this was a very little town. It seemed to me it was more of a personal relationship at that time. Things were, everyone seemed closer, but I always think about Christmas. To me, there's something about early Christmas morning when you were children. It seemed to me we had an awful lot of snow in those days. And then, too, we got up at 5 o'clock Christmas morning and went to church. And I always think of that when I think back of my childhood, the early Christmas service.
Christmas was a special time at your house?
Terribly special. We had a lot of traditions. We had, we weren't financially very well off. The teachers, it was nip and tuck with them in those days, and there were a lot of us, there were 5. But we had a lot of things that money couldn't buy. A lot of lovely music, pictures, traditions, love, lots of fun.
What was in your teenage years, what are some of your experiences that stand out in your mind in growing up as a teenager?
Those were difficult years for me, because I was a very independent person, and we were raised, or reared rather, as you would have been had you lived in Europe. Because Papa was very European, and so was Mama. And they had brought over all their customs and the way they thought young people should act from Sweden. And of course we were living here, and we were becoming more Americanized than they were. And it was a difficult time. There were things that we couldn't do that the students on the campus could do. And Papa had stricter closing hours than the college, and they were plenty strict in those days. Everybody had to be in the dorm at 10, we had to be in at 9. Weekends they could stay out till 11, we could stay out to 10. So I had run home from town many times in 2 minutes from Main Street to our house. It was difficult because there were a lot of things that we couldn't do that other kids could do. Partly on account of my father's position, and is that making noise? And partly because he had such strong convictions.
Yeah.
I don't know really what we should, how he would have liked for us to act, but there was a little rebellion there in those years. I didn't like my teenage years.
You didn't?
No.
Can you think of one experience that you had with your father or your mother?
Oh no, Mama wasn't as strict as Papa. She sort of let him discipline us. No, I can't think of I can think of some, but probably something I wouldn't want to tell.
You don't want to tell us?
I can't really single out any certain thing, except it seems to me that everything was no. May I do so and so? No, you may not. And there was no reason. And I can remember one time, so I was in college, and Papa said no, and I said, well, why? Why can't I do that, Papa? And I remember Mama, we were sitting at the dining room table, Mama said, don't argue with your father. And I said, but I'm not arguing, Mama, I just want to know why. Can't I do this? I don't know really what, I remember what it was I wanted to do, but I don't know why I couldn't, except he had said no.
Was it a major thing at that time that you wanted to do?
To me it was. It was going to Coronado Heights on a picnic. That's what it was, and so I couldn't go.
When you went to college, or what college did you attend and when did you graduate?
All my education's right here in Bethany.
And what year?
Most of it was in Old Main. I started in kindergarten. We had a private grade school. It was called the Model School. It was really a laboratory school. And I started kindergarten, I suppose when I was 5, I suppose that'd be, 1910. And then they closed that model school when I was ready for the 8th grade, so I went 1 year at the city school. And then came right back up here in Old Main and took 3 years of academy, college preparatory. They had 4, but I hurried up and did it in 3. And then took what we called at that time public school music. And finished that in 2 years. And went out and started teaching in high school in Donovan County. I was only 19. But I was a little bit anxious to get out and try my wings, I think.
What was your major?
Music, public school music, at that time. And then I came back after my husband died, and I didn't care to go back into the hassle of singing and practicing the piano, so then I got a degree in elementary education and taught down here for 10 years.
Can you describe a little bit about your college life as a student?
You mean the first time around?
First time.
First time around? It was nothing like it is now. As I think back, there weren't any cars on the campus. No cars at all. We never went out of town for any of our amusement. We made it right here. And big deal was walking down the river today. I'm having a Coke on the way home. And all the entertainment, we had to make it ourselves. At parties, and we had a picture show. And basketball, well, sports.
Did you live on campus?
Oh, no. No, I lived right across, you know where Amy lives, where the Lofgrens live around the corner. We lived there in that house. Folks built that when I was in grade school.
Did you have any feelings of wanting to be on campus, or didn't you?
No,
did you mind?
No, it's pretty much a thing for granted. There were a lot of town students who lived at home. I can't think of any town student who lived on the campus the way they do now.
I see.
It was unheard of. There just wasn't that kind of money. You were just lucky to be in school.
Your major was music?
Public school music, at that time.
Okay. I know that you did teach English in the Lindsborg school system for a period of time. And it is said that you were one of the best English teachers that Lindsborg has ever had. What
Must
do
have
you
been
feel?
a good friend that said that.
What do you feel about that though? Because I have heard that. How do you feel about that statement? As far as
yes, I believe I could be. Immodest enough to say I believe I did. I got good results, and when I felt that I wasn't, then I just quit teaching. The attitude, I think, for parents and students changed noticeably over those years, and it seemed that every year we succeeded with fewer and fewer of the children. And I was going to have to, I felt, now I could be wrong, but I felt that I was going to have to lower some standards. And I had awfully high standards for my children. And I think the good students appreciated it. And they stopped me every once in a while and talk about it downtown. But I haven't had any of the poor students. English was a foreign language to a lot of them. It really was. But I thoroughly enjoyed that part.
were there any experiences in teaching where you talk favorably of teaching, where you thought, this is not for me, I've got to get out of this and do something
Yeah,
else.
after 10 years, I thought, well, and at the time, I was teaching to put in time. I was lonesome after my husband died and needed something to do. Because I knew I wasn't just going to go home and sit. I was only 49 at the time. And so it was very, very gratifying. I'd say the first 8, 9 years. And then when it wasn't satisfying anymore, I thought, well, I don't have to do this. Let somebody else knock their brains out with junior high kids. So then I just resigned.
In talking about your students, you had children of your own. How many children did you have?
I had 2.
And were you pretty strict with your own children, and how were your feelings about discipline in that regard?
I think we were firm, but there were a lot of things. Our children grew up in Wichita, and there were a lot of things, of course, that times had changed that they got to do that I didn't get to do. But I knew I could never raise my children the way I was raised. And we were firm with the children. I had wonderful backup. My husband, although he never disciplined the children or ever made too many plans for them, because he said, you know that I'm notoriously a poor disciplinarian. But he never ever questioned my judgment with the children. And they turned out well. I just have 7 grandchildren.
Did you get frustrated with his lack of discipline at times?
No, it made it easier to know that what I said was how it was going to be.
So you ruled the...
Yeah, that was kind of a dictator. I was autocratic.
I see.
And I admit it. And I think I carried a great deal of that over into my classroom in teaching here. Because the first 4 years that I taught public music, I was a good disciplinarian then too, but I didn't, I was so awfully young. I had seniors as old as I. And I taught school, they didn't know it. But they were as old as I was at that time.
It's a bit scary, wasn't it? A bit scary, stepping into the classroom?
No, I had a lot of confidence. I didn't have much else. I wasn't a terribly good musician. But I had a lot of confidence, and that's what it took.
If it
And a
shows.
square jaw.
Right. What are your feelings about education today? If you had to step into the classroom today, what would you?
I don't know. I've been out of it now for, let's see, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13 years since I resigned. And I don't know if it's changed. I've been back in the school building, and I've helped with some enrollments and things, but so I don't know the attitude toward education. I just couldn't do it anymore. I don't think. It takes a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I never could teach sitting down. I had to stand up all
You were one of
day.
those walkers.
No, I just stood right in front. I just stood in front of the class. I tried that sitting down one time, and I felt that I couldn't get it across as well as just standing right up in front of the children.
I wonder why that is.
I don't know. Some teachers can sit down and teach. And I didn't feel with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, that's all, the ones that I had. And then, too, if you're standing up, you're ready to jump, you have to.
Getting more to the present day, what are some of your hobbies? I know one. And the activities that you participate in now?
Well, my hobbies, what I do the most, of course, is handwork, needlepoint, embroidery, knitting, crocheting. And just enjoying my little home and playing bridge with some young friends I have. Very young friends. And then I have an older group, too, a group of friends in McPherson that I have known for 53 years. And we have a foursome. We play bridge. Mostly we visit. And I'm not a belonger anymore. I've gone through all that. Belonging to clubs and organizations and volunteering and all that. I did that for years and years. So when I retired to do what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've been doing for about 12, 13 years now.
What are some of the hobbies that you enjoyed as a younger person that you don't do now, or activities that you did?
Not hobbies so much. When you're raising a family, you don't put a lot of time into hobbies. I loved gardening. I had a lot of flowers. I did that. Maybe that would be my main hobby outside of my home and raising the children. And I had a lot of choir work. I had church choirs and junior choirs, and belonged to music clubs and study clubs. And when we lived in Wichita, I was on the board of the Girl Scouts, commissioned there. I was commissioner of Girl Scouts in McPherson. You know that little house by the swimming pool in East McPherson? I was commissioner when we built that. And that was quite a project. And in Wichita, I was not a commissioner, I was on the board. And I did volunteer work in the family service there. Family Service League, I think it's called. And I worked out orthopedics, YWCA. I did that's why I say I've done my volunteer work. Besides working in the church, I did that too. A big church choir and things like that. Oh, I've always been busy.
I didn't realize you did all those things as a mother too. In those days, that would be tough.
And babysitting was 15 cents an hour.
That is considerably cheaper than now.
Well, 15. That'd be what now? The same as what now? About $1.
Right.
About $1 now.
You have some jewelry here that you brought to display. Maybe you can, let's take this one. This is an interesting one. And let's hold it up.
Yeah, this was my mother's. And I think it probably, years and years ago, you're too young to remember, we had, our friends gave us little links, and had their names engraved on it, and we had them put together like this. I think this is probably what this is. We call it Mama's money necklace, but it is not real money. Because all these coins are the same. And each one has the name on the back, the relatives and friends, and I see her brothers, and her mothers and her sisters. And the locket was given to her by our father. I have an idea that they probably did this when she was coming to this country. She was only 19 or 20 when she came over here alone to marry Papa. They'd been engaged for a year. But she came over here alone, and I have an idea that's how this was done. But it's very precious to us. And if people in Lindsborg will recognize it because she wore it quite a bit.
And this is your year to have it.
This is my year. We're 4 girls in the family, and we each take a year. Because we don't know how to divide it, and we all want it. Of course, I think I should have it because I was born in Sweden. And my oldest sister thinks she should have it because she's the oldest, so we all share it.
When you say you were born in Sweden, that makes me think of something that I could have asked earlier in regard to coming over here. Do you recall any stories about coming over to America?
You remember when we came back?
Right.
No.
How old were you?
15 months.
Oh.
We came back in October. I had been a year in July. We came back in October.
Were you told any stories about that?
No, except the nursemaid who came back with us was my grandmother's, the nursemaids in my grandmother's home. Excuse me, I've got a tickle. And she came back to this country, and she lived with us till I was about 8, 9, 10 years old. And I had whooping cough. And we ended up on Ellis Island. Papa was very insulted, but they were going to quarantine us because I was still coughing. Maybe I coughed all this time, I don't know. And but the nursemaid was, she didn't have any money at all, as I remember it, because folks had paid her passage over. And you had to have, $30 or something like that when you landed, so that they knew you could, I guess, get out of New York. Well, so Poppy had to vouch for her, that he would take care of her, and he did. She came back to Lindsborg with us and lived here married and had a large family, lived here until she died. And I can remember that my oldest sister remembers the trip over on the boat. She can remember throwing orange peelings to the seagulls. And that's all she can remember. Because I would have no memory of it at all.
What is your first memory of this country?
I mean, first thing I remember as a child,
Right.
I don't know. I don't remember when I started to remember. Do you remember anything way back? Do you? How?
Like, for example, going to movies, or I remember swimming at the pool regularly in summer. Or,
When you were very little?
yes.
I can remember starting kindergarten because we used Swedish entirely in our home when we were small, and the three of us were the young at our home. And the teachers all spoke Swedish, so I don't remember learning English. And I can remember my teachers in kindergarten, first grade, everything was Swedish. Of course, we had English too, but then we had 1 hour a day when we had our Swedish. So I don't remember when I switched from Swedish to English.
Your memory probably goes back to kindergarten then when you first started kindergarten.
Well, I can remember playing with the neighbors before that.
Do you remember the first sad thing that happened in your life as a child, the first thing that was hard to take?
Yes, it probably was when I came in from playing one time, and I must have been, 5, 6, 7 along in there. And Mom was crying. She was lying on the bed crying. And she had just gotten a letter from her mother saying that her father had died. And she had made her parents, our grandparents, so real to us with stories and pictures and things that we all grieved too. But I can remember it was terribly hard to see your mother cry. That probably is about the earliest I can remember any sadness.
How about that? It's something that was very jubilant in your family event. Do you remember the earliest one?
Oh, I remember my little brother was born. We were terribly excited. I was 3 1/2. And of course, he came in a little black satchel. So I saw the midwife come in that evening. And I was out in the other room with this nursemaid I was telling you about, Agda. And Mrs. Lofgren was a midwife here in town. And I saw her walk in with the little black, with these Boston bags, as a satchel. And pretty soon we heard a little cry, and Agda said, I think maybe there's something in there, in that baby in that room now. I can't leave that alone. We have to move it. And it was a baby. So for years, that was a marvelous explanation. Miss Lofgren had brought him in that satchel. We were very excited about that.
Getting back to the necklaces, how about this necklace? Tell us about it.
That is my grandmother's, and it was given to her when she, the chain is mine, that's American, but the watch was given to her when she was 14, and she was born in 69, so it'd be about she was born in 61. So it'd be about 105, 6 years old now, and it's in perfect working order. Isn't that beautiful? I wonder if they can see that on the camera. The little hands are all cut out, or filigreed.
It's cracked, it looks like. Is it a crack? Or on the face? I mean, on the inside of the white part?
It does look like it, doesn't it? There's a little something. Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful.
And then it opens, and this is the amazing part. And then this little key to have hung on to all these years, that winds it and turns the little hands. I wonder what those little scratches are. I've never noticed them before.
Maybe it's just the lighting.
No, I see they look like little scratches.
That's beautiful. That's old.
Yeah, it's over 100 years old.
And how did you get this?
Mother brought it back when she went back to Sweden in 1954. And after she passed away and we were dividing all the things that she had, somehow that fell to me. I don't know how. But I got that, and then someone else got something else at the same time. And that's how I got it.
Okay, let's. Um, what in speaking about a happy time or a sad time? Can you tell us probably the most favorite time period in your life?
Even before I left Lindsborg, or any
Just
time.
looking back from now to whenever you remember.
I'd say it was when my children were young teenagers. I think we had the most fun with them, and because they were so active in different ways, but it was so much fun to watch them grow and develop and do things with them. I think those were the best years I had. We lived in Wichita. My husband was alive and the children were growing up. And there have been happy times since, but sad times too. But I believe those were the best years I had.
And that encompassed what, 15 to 20 years?
No, well, I've never had a sad time, a sad life. I've had a lot of things happen, but I've never felt that I had a sad life. No, I'd say when the kids were in high school, junior high, high school, and college, those were I think, the happiest family years we had. And then that's all we had, because my husband died when Edward was senior in university. So from then on, we've gone our own way.
You talk about this being the happy period of your life. What are some of the happy, or some of the incidents that occurred that were really memorable as far as you and your family go?
Just thinking of the things that happened to the children in high school. They were both very good students, and the honors that would come to them. I think parents enjoy that too. Edward was a Summerfield Scholar, and that was pretty important, because I think we stress scholarship a great deal. In fact, maybe too much, I don't know. But he was a marvelous student, and Gretchen, and he didn't only, he studied a lot, but never very long. He was a straight A student from kindergarten through the university. There's no question about it. Gretchen could have been, but she didn't. She had so many other irons in the fire that she was very, what's the word you want to know? She had people around her all the time. She could come home with 13 friends and say, "What are we going to have for supper, Mom?" We had company. But now just thinking about the things that happened. Well, they would be elected. She'd be elected May Queen, and all the excitement of dating.
What are some of the things you think? You talk about your children in a very loving way, and that they were a big part of your life,
Mm-hmm.
a happy time of your life. What are some of the things that you think that, as they were growing up, or even now, that they are super proud of you?
That they what?
That they're really proud of you for. You're talking about things that you're proud of them. What do you think some of the things that?
Well, I think that they were proud of the fact that after their father died, that I just didn't sit down and do nothing. I worked for a young dentist in Oklahoma for a year and decided that wasn't for me. One day off at Thanksgiving, 2 days off at Christmas. I was a little spoiled. So I came back. That's when I came back here and got a degree in education. And then before I had that degree, then I started teaching. And I think the children have been proud of the fact that I've been able to take care of myself and plan things and do things, take the trips that I want to take. And I've just come back now from a trip to New England. That's why the raspy voice rained on me every day. And I've taken a lot of nice trips. And I think they're proud of the fact that I do those things.
Mm-hmm. What are, speaking of happy moments, on the other hand, what are some sad things that probably have really affected you and made a memorable, stayed in your mind as part of a memorable experience?
You mean outside of losing people you love?
Yes. Maybe you have some experience that that really affected your life that was was a sad thing to you? The losing, you've mentioned your husband.
New parents. I can't think of anything.
Just just take a couple seconds. Maybe you can. There's nothing. You've had a happy life.
I have had a happy life. You have no promise any place in the Bible or any place else that you're not going to have sadness. It happens to everybody. And some younger than others. I felt cheated for a while. And then I knew I had to go on and make the best of it. I couldn't just sit there and cry the rest of my life. I was only 49 when my husband died. And I figured I had a few years left.
You did.
I did.
You do.
I do. Yeah.
Right. Well, okay, talking about age,
Mm-hmm.
do you feel that you're old now that you're 75 going on 76?
Almost 76. Because I always think other people are older. The only limitations I know that I feel in getting older are physical limitations. You can't do as much physically as you used to do. You can't move as fast. You can't run. Maybe somebody at 76 could run, I can't. And you just don't do the things physically you used to do. But outside of that, I don't know of any limitations that age should put on people.
How do you feel about that? You said one of the limitations is the physical activity. Does that bother you? And how do you feel about that?
No, I just figure that something has to give. And as long as this stays clear, the rest, that's okay with me. I think as long as you have a good mind, or a clear mind, then you can accept the rest of it. At least I can. I don't feel old.
Was there ever a moment when you felt a trifle bit old?
Oh yeah, there have been times.
Tell us about one, if you can think of one. And you really felt, I'm old.
Well, when you figure you've got a 30-year-old granddaughter, you've lived a few years.
Have you ever been in a situation where you just didn't quite fit in because of your age?
Yes, but I think you deliberately stay out of those situations. If you feel you don't fit in, you don't go into that situation.
Have you ever had an experience with that you can think of?
No, I play bridge with you, young kids, and I never think about that I'm twice as old or 3 times as old as the rest of you. Probably as old as the 3 of you put together.
I don't think so.
Not quite,
No. What are some of the benefits in being in your 70s rather than in your 30s?
Well, you think when you're 30 or 20 or 30 mostly, you think by the time you're 40, you're going to have everything figured out. There aren't going to be any problems. And then that has to move up all the time. I think age has a lot of benefits. Right now, if you'd ask me what they are, I can't tell you, but they're compensations. A lot of things you don't have to do anymore when you get older. For instance, if they'd call me tomorrow and ask to serve on a certain committee up here or in church or school, I said no. Wouldn't bother me a bit. 30, 40 years ago, I would have, my conscience would have bothered me if I hadn't volunteered. And I said no. Don't know.
How can you prepare for later years? Looking back when you were young, how can you prepare for your age now?
Well, your hobbies changed, I think. But you should, I think reading probably. If a person loves to read, that stays with you. I don't read as much as I used to. I'd like to, but then when I get started with handwork, then I don't want to quit and read. I read every day. Read something every day. I don't know how you would prepare, except I think it's very important to keep an open mind and not think that just because it isn't the way it was when you were younger that it isn't good. There are a lot of things going on now that are much better, and a lot of things that I can understand, but I don't have to accept it. But I think if you just don't close your mind, just stay, what is the word? I'm hunting for a certain word there. Maybe it's sort of pliable, stay pliable. Don't get so set in your views that you can't accept what is happening.
So work on that as you grow.
I think so. But I think when you're younger, I don't think that the young person, I don't know how you would plan for old age. I really don't. But the only thing I can think is just to accept things as they are, as they come. Mr. George say that how the cookie crumbles, or what is that saying? And that's how it is today. Tomorrow may be better and it may be worse.
Do you think that you, throughout your life, you have prepared yourself pretty much for a comfortable older age?
Not consciously. I don't think there was any conscious preparation at all. It was just a gradual evolvement through the years. It's important to keep busy.
What has this review been like for you to review your life? Is it brought back memories, or how do you feel about this little conversation?
This little conversation. I think it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. It has brought back memories. It made me think of things in a different way. Of course, as you get older, I think you do remember, or you do think back, but you can't live in the past. That's one thing. You've got to look ahead and plan ahead. And while you enjoy things that have happened, and I love to think about things when I was a very little girl here in Lindsborg, when I was a young housewife and mother. But now I have grandchildren from the age of 12 to 30. That's 7 of them. And it's fun to watch them and what they're doing. Now I have 2 of them in universities in this country next year. They're coming from London. My son lives in London. He has a son who's here at Beloit, in Beloit, Wisconsin. And Natalie will be at SMU in Dallas next year. So that'll be fun to have them in this country again. They've lived foreign all their lives.
What are your hopes for the future? What do you hope for yourself for the rest of
my life? What do I hope for? Just to stay well. I think that's probably the most important, because everything else follows. If you're not well, it doesn't matter what you've got or where you are or where you want to go. So you just stay well. That'll make me happy.
Do you have any other outstanding events in your life, and looking from age 50 or kindergarten when you remember to now, that really stand out, that if someone said, "What? This is your life, Karin Freeburg," that you would mention?
I don't know. That's kind of hard to.
That's
a hard question. It all comes back to such a natural thing that you fall in love and you marry and you have children, and that was all very exciting and important. And well, going to school, traveling. I love to travel. I've taken some marvelous trips. I've traveled more outside of the country than I have inside. I've been to Hawaiian Islands, Africa, South America, Tehran, Europe, England, Sweden. Those trips were important in my development, I think. And the fact that I was lucky enough to be able to take them. And this one that I've just come home now from New England, I'm just so steeped in revolutionary history that I'm going to have to get some books and read out. We were in Boston and took all those historic trips there in Boston. Then we went to Newport for the weekend in Rhode Island, and it was a marvelous experience. But I discovered that traveling's one of the things that maybe you're going to have to give up as you get older. And that's pretty rugged. A lot of walking, and while it was just a lot of fun, it was very, very tiring. So maybe I've taken all the big trips I'm going to take. I don't know.
Okay, well, we want to thank you, Karin, for doing this. It was enjoyable for me. I enjoy hearing about some of your stories, and I think we'll close.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been lots of fun.